Hey everybody, I'm picking up from where I left off in the last lesson. Alright, let me try to find a place in which I can get back far enough where you can see all this. What I've done in this is I've wrote out, in case it was confusing how I stepped through the process, I wrote out the notes and the individual chords in the key of C. Starting with C major, which is comprised of a C, E, and G, the 1, 3, 5. D minor, which is a D, F, and A. That F is a flatted third. E minor, which is a E, G, and B. That G is a flatted third. F major, F, A, C. The G major, G, B, D. And then the sixth, the A minor, A, C, E. That C is a flatted third. Okay? We're not going to deal with the seventh at this point in time. Alright? So now when I start building these chords, first chord is going to be C. We're going to look at the open chord, first position, what a lot of people call cowboy chords, in the key of C, or the C major chord. We're going to look at C, E, and G, and they happen to be stacked. Alright? It only takes a 1, a 3, and a 5 to make a chord. When they build these larger multi-string chords that ring out real nice and clear, what they're doing is stacking octaves. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump into that right now. I need to sit there, bud. Alright, so let's take a look. I'll go ahead and do close-ups of the chords later, but I want you to watch me build these chords. I'm going to go ahead and switch chairs because it's a little low. Alright, so what we got going on right here? Alright, for C, we're looking at the root. We play it on the fifth string, or excuse me, the fifth string, and we remember the names of the strings is A for that fifth string. At the second, we got a B, and that third is a C. Alright, so we fret that C. Then we're looking for the next string, and what do we have? We have a D, E. That happens to be the third. And then what do we have next in the C, in the chord, is a G. Okay, that we can play with that open G string, that fourth string. Then we're going ahead and fret that first fret on the B string. That is another C, an octave higher. Okay, and then on the sixth string, we're playing an octave higher of the third. Alright, so when you play that all together, you get this sound. Alright, what you want to do, or what I always did when I was learning new chords, and I still do if I'm working on something, is I go ahead and I pick each string individually. So each note in the chord individually. That is called an arpeggio. Alright, if I was to go here on the scale and play alright, that's a 1, 3, 5 triad. When I pick it out like that, we can call that an arpeggio. An arpeggio is nothing more than picking individually the notes of a chord. I think the meaning, if you look at Latin or Greek or wherever it was derived from, is like a harp. Okay, if you think about how a person who plays a harp plays, they're picking those notes individually most of the time when they're playing a harp. That's what you're doing. So if you're going to strum a chord, which is the C chord, and don't worry, at the end of all this, I'm going to go ahead and film some close-ups. You get this going on right here. Pick it out individually so you can hear if you're getting clear notes. Alright? Alright, when you get good at arpeggiation, they sound pretty on their own. Later on I'll teach you how to spice them up by doing some string skipping, which could be something like this. And you can almost build a melody right around that chord. Alright. The next chord we're going to look at is a D minor chord. I'll go ahead and fret this out for you, and I'm gonna show you what we're playing. We're gonna play, you can play if you want a bassy sound, the top 5 strings. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you can play that open A, you can play that open D. Most people don't play the open A. So it starts on the 4th string, which is the open D, which is the root. The next note is going to be, on the G string, is going to be an A. On the B string, you're going to play an octave of that D. And on the 6th string, you're going to play an F. Okay? That's your D minor. Alright, the next thing we'd go on to is an E minor. Alright, once again, don't worry, I'm going to give you close-ups later. You got the open E on the 6th string. You're fretting a B on the A string, which is at the 2nd fret. And then you got an octave of that E at the 2nd fret of the 4th string with that D string. Then you got the rest of those strings are open, G, B, and E. Once again, those are octaves of that 1, 3, 5. Alright, that sounds like this. And picked out. Alright, and you want to work that until each thing sounds clear. I'll give you some subsequent lessons to kind of clear up where some of the problems may arise, because you may have some buzzing sounding and stuff like that, and what's happening is parts of your fingers are touching strings that they're not supposed to. Okay, so the next thing we got to deal with in that key is an F. Alright, to make a full 6-string chord, we have to play a bar chord, and what we're doing is we're playing an E major. We just learned an E minor. We're playing an E major slid down 1 step. I'm going to give a whole block on bars. Okay, so what I'm going to teach you now is a partial bar. Alright, because it takes a 1, 3, 5 to make the chord. An F can look like this. And you can stack the 5th string on there too. Alright, so what do I got if I'm looking at these 3 strings? If I'm just playing these 3, which are the 4th, the 5th, and the 4th, the 3rd, and the 2nd strings, I have an F on that 4th string. Okay, at the 3rd fret, D, E, F, right? On that 3rd string, I'm playing an A. And on that 2nd string, I'm playing a C, which is at the 1st fret. So I could play an F chord just by playing these 3 strings. If I want to incorporate that 1st string and get a 4-string chord, I can roll that index finger down and I can get that, and what I would be grasping is a higher octave F. Alright, if I was to add my pinky in here at the top, and I could restructure those fingers to look this way with the ring finger above the pinky, I could play on the 5th string a C, which is in the F. Then I have that F. Then I have that A. Then I have that C. And then I have that F. Alright. Now what happens with a bar is you just take all that, you pinch it off with the index finger, and don't worry about this now because it's a little bit hard to do. You've got to build some finger strength, but I'll teach it later, but just so you can see what's happening. And I'm basically playing all those same strings with a different finger arrangement and getting that low F with the bar. So every string on the 1st fret is barred off with the root, as if I just made my guitar 1 fret shorter, tuning it to F instead of E, and then everything else falls in suit, and that is a full F chord. Alright, next thing we're going to go to is a G. Alright, there's a couple ways to play the G. One route is this way, and what's going on is you have the G fretted on the 6th string, you have the B on the 5th string, which is at the 2nd fret, D is open, the G string is open, the B string is open, okay? And then on that high E string, that one string at the 3rd fret, you're using your index finger to go ahead and play that G. Alright, another common way to play this chord is this way, and I'll spell this out. Everything starts the same at the 6th string. You've got your middle finger at that 3rd fret, which is your G. Your index finger is at that 2nd fret on the 5th string, which is your B. The D and the G strings are open. Then down here on that B string, instead of playing that open B, which is the 3rd, right, we're going to fret that D at the 3rd fret with your ring finger, which is the 5th. And then that high octave G on the 1st string is also played with that pinky. Alright, it's still a G, right? 1, 3, 5. It just has a little different ring to it, okay? Now we go on from G, we go to A minor. And that's going to be the last one we teach in this particular series. And we play that starting on the 5th fret, open A. Or excuse me, not 5th fret, 5th string, open A. On the 4th string, with your middle finger, you're going to be fretting that 2nd fret, which is an E. On your G string, you're going to fret with your ring finger that 2nd fret, which is an A, that higher octave A. On your B string, you're going to get your C, and on that high E string, that 1 string, you're going to get that higher E. And there's your A minor. Those are the 6 chords you need to concern yourself with right now in the key of C. Check out, I'm going to have little individual videos outline some close-ups of each one of those chords. Remember, when you practice them, arpeggiate those strings. That's where you can strum as well, right? No problem with that. But take some time, pick those strings out individually, and you'll hear where your errors are, and you'll be able to self-correct. The key to getting any of these chords sounding clean is making sure that you're only fretting what you're supposed to be fretting, those 1, 3, 5s. If you have an open string, it's supposed to be open, like in this A minor, this high E is supposed to be open. If I've got a lazy index finger and it's resting on that high E and you get this sound, you get a not so good sounding chord. That's typically what's happening. The other thing is you're not using enough finger strength to properly fret any of the notes down. So if you get, that is my middle finger resting on the A string a little bit. Another sound you'll get, maybe this. I'm not pressing that middle finger down hard enough on that E played off of the 4th string or that 2nd fret, right? So if you're hearing those sounds, when you individually pick those out, go ahead and make those adjustments. When you can play each string cleanly in that chord, you should be able to strum it and get a pretty nice sounding chord. Don't worry about your strum technique now. After I get through the chords, I'm going to give you a block on some things that you can do to work on nice sounding strum techniques. That was the key of C. The next thing that will follow on that I'm going to teach you is the key of G. Or real quickly, what I'm going to address real quickly is A minor. Okay, in A minor, when you're thinking of minor, that 6, that relative 6, that A minor chord becomes your 1. All right. Outside of that, if you think of that intervallically, so then what would the 3rd be? If you were thinking in terms of A minor, if A becomes the 1, the next thing is a B, the next thing is a C. That C happens to be the major, right? That is the brother, the other side of the coin of that A minor. They call that a major 3rd. So you have in the A minor key, you have that A minor chord as its root, because that's what's getting most emphasized. The major 3rd is that C, and then so what would the 5th be? An E, which is a minor, E minor. Okay, everything else kind of falls into play. All right, if you know the 1, 3, 5s, it's not too hard to figure out what's in between, which would be the 2, 4, and then after the 5 would be the 6. Okay, there you go. There is C and A minor. Check out for the close-ups later. I hope this was helpful. If it was confusing at all, please hit me up with the questions in the comment sections. Not only will I take the time to answer them, but that will spark subsequent videos if I see that there is a consistency with questions. Alright, the same points aren't being made clear to multiple people, then I know I need to have a specific video about that, or I need to readdress that and maybe retape the video altogether. Hopefully I won't have to retape anything. I can probably just do some subsequent add-on videos to clear up any of your questions. Once again, I hope this is working out for you. I hope that you're starting to see a little bit of the light at the end of the tunnel as far as being able to create music, and I hope that you'll be playing chords soon. Don't forget to warm up before you do this with all those exercises. You should be relatively proficient at going through that chromatic scale, that A major or any major scale, and the minor scale. Use those as a warm-up. Don't throw those away because we're working on chords now. Get your fingers warmed up, ready to play. Alright, that's going to save from injuries later. You can injure the muscles in your forearms and the joints in your fingers and stuff playing guitar just like you can in any kind of sport. Especially once you start playing for long periods of time. You get a lot of tension making those chords. Those little muscles aren't used to that. Warm them up. Keep that dexterity going. Keep doing all those other exercises. Everything is a building block. Take it one step at a time and start using what you've previously learned as the warm-ups for your next set. Alright, practice hard and hope to see you later. Take care. Bye.